This is Rocks the Core, and I am your host, Warita Wimbush, and this is Raquel Roxette Lilia Publishing Productions and a Stage Left Planet Productions. And today's episode is Black Women Are Not a Monolith. Oh yeah, check out my t-shirt that I designed. It says God, the True Avenger. Romans 12:19. And, honey, I wanted to discuss black women are not a monolith. We are not all the same. We don't think the same. We don't think the same. We don't share a brain. And I wanted to say that because I've noticed in the media over the years in the media, Black women are basically treated the same, especially in movies, television, books, literature, everything, but even music. Black women basically get for its characters based on us black female characters. And not just characters, but our own screen personas, the way that black women are represented and are encouraged to represent themselves in the media are basically based on a few archetypes. One could even take it way back to the archetypes of the Sambo. The archetypes of the Sambo, the angry black man, and thus forth and so on. Black women get depicted as either silly, a slut, angry, cutthroat, brash, sassy, vindictive, and villainous, and usually the villain. Rarely does a black woman get portrayed as sexy, but I like to say having womanly wiles, but not being a slut, and being um intelligent, but not milk toast, or as we say in the South, bigoted, without being contentious and confrontational and that kind of thing. Rarely does that occur. It's rare, even when black women are depicted as matronly, it's usually this domineering type matronly thing. Like if she's married, it's gonna be like a Claire Huxtable, Cliff and Claire type of thing where Claire basically, she's like her. She wore the pants. She wore the pants. It's like poor Elvin could barely. I didn't. From what I saw, Elvin wasn't necessarily being sexist, and his intentions towards Sandra weren't to be overbearing or domestically abusive toward her, but yet Claire would jump down his throat at the least thing he said that sound, you know, like it was coming from the perspective of a traditional male. And all that wasn't really necessary. It didn't take all that. If she had Cliff sneaking around eating hoagies, I'm like, let the man have a hoagie every once in a while. And so I wanted to discuss that. We are not all a monolith. All black people didn't grow up in the hood, and even those who did don't ascribe to these negative depictions of so-called hood culture. Everywhere black people live in high concentrations is not a Chirac. It is not like the media depicts old school Harlem or something like or somewhere like that. It is not. And even I mean, even when it's the poorest of the poor areas, it's everywhere isn't that way. And usually from what I've observed, it's some outside influence such as drugs that infiltrates the neighborhood, drug selling and drug dealing that infiltrates the neighborhood that affects that type of social climate in the community. Or it's like what happened in the mid to late in the mid 80s to the early 90s, where you had cultural influences on black culture from the media when it changed when the 90s came in. Things, the media, Hollywood itself pushed things to become grittier because they said it was, as things were, they weren't realistic enough. In some aspects, yes. Like if you were to look at a sitcom from the 80s and the 90s, they may not have been altogether realistic, but that's what entertainment is for. Escapism, to escape your situation, not really immerse yourself in it. It's like if I'm get like the TV show Super Fun Night with starring Rebel Wilson. I used to like that show. And I won't lie, part of it is because at that time I was really, really overweight and I could identify with her character then. Her being, fun loving and chubby and liking to go out and liking fashion and stuff. Having a crush on somebody way skinnier and shorter than her. And I liked the show until I really really kept watching it on and on and on, and I saw that the only fun people on the show were her boss that she had a crush on, and Will Sasso's character. Her boss that she had a crush on, he liked her too, but for some reason he ended up dating the office jerk. And then on top of that, on top of it, she started dating Will Sasso's character, who was him. He was fun. And then she had neighbors across the hall from her. And they were dating her and her friends. And for some reason, it didn't work out. And her friends were a real downer. Rebel's character, I forgot her name, used to love to go out. Her friends, they went out with her, but they didn't really want to interact with nobody but her and each and one another. They didn't want to date. None of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, y'all, they are so boring. Oh my gosh. This totally and then her relationship with her boss. Oh my goodness. I was like, this is so depressing till it ain't funny. Ooh, it's depressing. And that aspect I could relate to as well because I'm like, man, this is like dating my ex-boyfriend Duran. He's way skinnier than me and shorter. And he used to be embarrassed because I was bigger than him. And we were in high school at that time, at the time we were dating. He was embarrassed to be seen with me. And I'm like, well, forget you then. But I was like super duper in love with him. It took us so long for me to get over him. He died in a car accident with his best friend when we were like 19. But yeah, well, I think we were 19. No, we were about to make, yeah, we were, he was about to make 20 and I'd already made 20. And even after that, it took years for me to get over him. And even though he just wasn't that into me. Like Greg Barrett, we said in his book, he just wasn't that into me. I even bought that book mostly because of that relationship. And I bought, it's called The Breakup because it's broken. And I noticed not long after those Greg Barrett's books got really popular, Steve Harvey come with his foolishness that to me seemed like pretty much Greg Barron's he's just not that into you thing. You know, that's when Steve Harvey went crazy writing books. But anyway, um I you know, but back to black women not being a monolith. Black women are just not a monolith. We don't think alike or none of that kind of stuff. But yet in the media, this is what get pushed on us. And it's like if you don't adhere to that, to a certain way of thinking, then you must not be black and you must not care about the uplifting of black women and the causes that impact black women. I do care. Like people get on me about the issue. You know, I've had to encounter people that question my pro life activism. And I'm like, why? I'm a black woman. Why? I'm a black woman. Why would I not care about the lives of few of black women in their mother's womb? The future of black women and future black women. Why wouldn't I care about them? Why would I not fight for their right to life? Even if their life may not start off wonderfully, they may not start off with a silver spoon. Doggone hair. Might not start off with a silver spoon in their mouth, right? But that don't mean that they can't rise above their circumstances. You see what I'm saying? And God created them for a purpose. He created them to be a gift to this world, created all of us to be a gift to the world. And I care not just about black women, but about all women and all people, all children. And why wouldn't I want to see a person have a chance at the life that God has given them? Why wouldn't I want to fight for them? Especially when they can't speak for themselves at this point. So, but yet I get told, well, what about black women's reproductive health? And I'm like, yes, the fact that black women's reproductive health has been jeopardized by the big pharmaceutical companies is a horrible, egregious thing. It totally and terribly is. I look at the hair care industry. The hair care industry is responsible for big corporations such as L'Oreal. They are responsible for cancers, reproductive cancers, and reproductive health issues in black women and the children that they carry and will carry and that they already have. Just like I want to say, there was this birth control pill called disc, and the women who took that birth control pill were impacted. You know, they dealt with cancer, and when they had children, their daughters ended up developing cancer too. It's like the Johnson and Johnson talcum powder thing, the Johnson and Johnson talcum powder issue. But yet the media really, other than the law firms was representing class action suits, the media remains silent on that. Well, this is what I wanted to say, and I'm trying to keep it short because I have a tendency to talk for at least an hour on this thing. But anyway, I wanted to say that, and I will be back to discuss the issue more. This is Rocks the Core. I'm your host, Warita Winbush. Focus on God.